Hi, my name is Joy Bolin, and I'm one of three quality specialists at Inside Track. My counterparts on the quality team are Micah Stover and Tanya Lynn Wildeber, and it's really our role to ensure that we are offering the highest quality of service to the students that we're interacting with every day, and by extension to the universities that we're partnering with. So between the three of us, we work with every campus that Inside Track works with, and we meet regularly with all coaches. So it's likely that you'll be working with all of us at some point in your Inside Track time. Micah is actually the quality specialist who is designated specifically for the Flex coaching team. However, I work with the Arizona State University prospective student coaching team. So what I wanted to do today was talk with you a little bit about quality on ASU, and how it relates to your role as an inquiry specialist. So in this video, what we're going to do are three things. First, I want to give you an introduction to how we define and think about quality on the ASU team. And then I want to also take some time to provide some language and some examples for you to think about when you're thinking about how that relates to your role as an inquiry specialist. And then finally, what I want to do today is let you know a little bit about what to expect when it comes to your own quality development and quality assurance moving forward from here. So I'm going to share my screen here in a moment so that you can follow along with me as I talk, and let's dive in and talk quality. Let me pull up my screen here and I will make it a little bit bigger so that you can see. So this is an excerpt from the quality plan that we created for the entire ASU prospective student coaching team. And these are really the three tenets that we identified as being really core to how we see quality in our team. We see ourselves as an extension of ASU and really as ambassadors for the school. We're the first point of contact for prospective students and their first impression of ASU in many cases. So it's really important that all of our interactions with students are student-centered, intentional, and confident, and that we are really representing the school in that way. So what does that mean, really? Student-centered is really staying present, listening to the student to really make sure we understand their unique situation and their individual need, both in the moment, in the meeting, as well as what they're looking for in a school and a program. It's leaving students with clear follow-up plans or next steps, whether that means meeting with a coach, or maybe it might mean closing their file, but even that is one step closer to them making a decision about their next steps with their education. So there is some advancement happening there in those cases as well. And we always want to make sure that we're open to what the students' preference for the type, the frequency, and the channel of communication, and that we're meeting students where they are with what would be most helpful for them. We want to make sure that we're being intentional in what information we share and how we are sharing what we learn with the coach that the student will be working with moving forward. So maybe it's identifying if you hear red flags in the call, making sure you're communicating those in the notes, or that you're writing down specific questions the students want to follow up on so the coach can come prepared. And that we know when to escalate a student situation if it's outside of your role to either the coach or a manager or somebody else who might need to know. And it's also being confident in our communication. It's being reliable and consistent. And again, knowing when is the information something we should share and when do we want to defer to somebody else. So what does this really mean in the inquiry specialist role? This is a rather unique role, and it's a fairly new role at Inside Track. But these three tenets, confidence, being student-centered, being intentional, all of these things apply just as much to the inquiry specialist role as to the prospective student or enrolled student coaching role. What it looks like in this setting, though, is having that confident tone and that opening that's clear and just concise, that it says quickly, who are you and who are you representing, Arizona State University, and it sets the intention for the meeting quickly so that the student knows what to expect. It's asking for the time in a student-centered way without being apologetic or making it seem as though the student's doing you a favor by talking with you. It's saying, I'd like to take 5 minutes to follow up on your interest in our fully online Master's in Social Work program. Do you have that time now? So it's getting the permission to continue and to make sure that it's a good time for the student, but also representing the university in a confident sounding way. We always notify students of call recording. This is just a very quick thing. 99.9% of students don't even blink an eye. Is that the saying? Probably not, but you know what I mean. They don't skip a beat over this. So even though sometimes at first it can feel a little awkward to work in, it's as simple as just saying, if the student says it's a good time, great. Before we get started, I just want to let you know my calls are recorded for my own quality and training purposes, and then press record. I always recommend pressing record after you say the notification, because we never want to record a call when the student has not been notified. And then once you've notified of the recording, you want to make sure that you're being clear about your role and intention for the interaction you're having right then. And also that in this situation, that you're also talking a little bit about the role of the coach, so that the student knows why they might want to talk with their coach in the future. So the language I have here, and again, this is just a suggestion. It's not something that it's not a script or something to read verbatim. I encourage you to think about what feels natural and genuine to you. But if it were me in this role, this is along the lines of something I might say. The language I have here is, I work closely with your enrollment coach, Tammy, who's an expert in the program and the enrollment process. I'm supporting Tammy today by just reaching out to students that she hasn't been able to connect with. What I want to do today is just find out a little bit more about where you are in the process of researching and deciding on a school. I want to take note of any questions that you have about ASU, and then we can set up a time for you and Tammy to connect so that you can partner to determine if ASU aligns with your professional and educational goals. So that's just one example, so that it's clear what you're doing in this meeting and also what the coach will be doing in a follow-up meeting. And then we want to use active listening and a tailored assessment to really build rapport and remain student-centered. You can start the assessment just by asking for some context on where the student is in the process. And then, making sure to listen and ask appropriate follow-up questions based on what the student shares. And if the student does share something personal, it's always a good idea to take a minute and just respond in also a personalized way. If they share that they are wanting to do this and now is finally a good time because their kids are in school, say, oh, that's great, and that you finally have some time to invest in your education. How many kids do you have? Or, just following up in a way that shows that you're really listening, you're there to really get to know the student and provide that personalized experience that really sets us apart from other services and schools that may not build that type of rapport and have that type of personalized support. So those are really just a few examples. Another thing with confidence that's key, and in this role specifically, is feeling confident saying, that's a great question. I don't have the answer right now, but I'm writing it down so that your coach can follow up with you on this specific point. Is there anything else you want me to make sure your coach is aware of when it comes to this topic? Something along the lines of that, because you're not going to be able to know all the answers, and I know that can be difficult at times, but just being confident, knowing how to say, I don't know, but I'm going to connect you with someone who can get you these answers. So those are really the basics. Let's get to the next part, which is talking a little bit about how we can continue to support you in developing these skills over time. So first of all, we know that the Flex team is really an essential part of allowing our core team members to be able to be student-centered and intentional with who they're following up with and when, make sure that they're getting to their high priority students and their admitted students and all those people that really need their coach's follow-up. But it still allows us to follow up with other students who may be interested as well. So we are really, really grateful to have you all here supporting the team, and we want to make sure that you feel confident that you're able to have high quality interactions within your role. So a few things that we're doing to make sure that you're able to feel confident with your quality. First of all, campus onboarding videos. You're watching one right now. So that's the first step, is the training component, and then there are other elements of your training as well. And then after sometime within your first week, you'll have one observation and debrief by either one of the managers on the team or by a quality specialist. At Inside Track, we really have a culture where we welcome open feedback, that we are always striving to get better. We know that not everyone can jump right into a coaching role and do everything perfect right off the bat. So everyone has strengths and opportunities and room for improvement. And these observations are just a chance to identify where you are in that process and some things that you can be working on and some things that you're doing well. This is a really normal part of every coach's development at Inside Track, and you'll have your first observation within a week. And then for the next month, we'll also be pulling random quality assurance observations throughout the first month. You may not hear anything on these. We do these also for coaches across the company on a regular basis, just to get a sense of how things are going, checking in on how the training went, and making sure that it was relevant and prepared you for the role. We may provide feedback if there's feedback we need to give, either that you did something really awesome and we want to say, wow, great job, you knocked that out of the park, or if there's something that happened in the call that we want to make sure to connect with you on so that it's not happening moving forward. You may also hear some feedback on those, but chances are you might not hear anything from these quality assurance observations. But I did want to let you know that we do these observations regularly for all coaches. And then flex coaches specifically are going to be participating in bi-weekly quality labs. This is a chance to talk quality in a small group with some other flex coaches and a quality specialist. It's an opportunity to listen to calls, identify strengths, identify opportunities, and really start to hone your craft here, not only within your role, but also just start to learn a little bit more about what coaching is in other roles, and to better understand the Inside Track coaching methodology. And then lastly, every day the ASU leadership team sends out a daily plan email, and that email every day will have your point person, so that every flex coach has somebody that they know they can go to for questions or support. Of course, your managers, your quality specialists, your whole team is there to support you, but it's also helpful to know that you have one person who is designated, so that you never have to stop and think, who should I ask this question to? You can go to that person and they can point you in the right direction if they can't answer the question themselves. So that is my overview of quality on ASU. Thank you again for jumping in. We are so happy to have you all on board. And the main things here from this presentation are just really staying grounded in these ideas of how am I being student-centered, how am I being intentional, and how am I maintaining my confidence in these calls and these email interactions moving forward. So I look forward to working with you all. Thank you, and good luck.